And you are pretty much right in saying that dual lobe liver transplant is actually a rare surgery, technically much more challenging, and hence rarely performed in our country. So, what are the indications where you would want to perform or even think of using two donors? Going in a regular involves donation of by a single donor. Now, in cases where you don't have enough graft to recipient weight ratio, which Dr. Mathur was already trying to convey to us, if that is not enough, the minimum required graft to recipient weight ratio is 0.8. And if that is not sufficient enough, you may want to go ahead and select an additional donor. In cases where though the GRWR is fairly acceptable for the recipient, but the remnant liver volume or the future liver volume which you are leaving behind in the donor is not sufficient, by which I mean is usually most of the centers calculate the remnant percentage as minimum of 30% remnant in the donor. So if in cases where the distribution between the right and the left lobe, where the left lobe which remains in the donor is less than 30%, in these cases you will not be able to go ahead with a safe resection in the donor because it will put the donor at risk. So in these cases, you may want to actually switch or swap and take the smaller segment and look for either a single suitable another donor if possible. If that is not possible, then you can combine two left lobes or smaller size segments of the two different donors and put it in one recipient. There are certain disorders where anatomically you find difficult either arterial or portal venous anatomy, where you may have to go ahead and select two different donors because that will preclude a major liver resection in the donor, and mainly it is the right lobe. So you would not want to select the right lobe liver in such patients or from the donor, and hence go ahead with two different donors where you will try and select only the left lobe. Now, the experience in dual lobe liver transplant is actually limited to certain centers only, including our own country, where only a few centers perform a dual lobe living donor liver transplantation, because technically it is much more challenging. You will first require expertise in living donor liver transplantation and performing donation or donor hepatectomy in two different donors and then operating on the recipient actually potentially increases the risk to 300%. So this is the only surgery where the risk is 300%, where one recipient is operated and two donors are being operated. So you need to be aware of this before anybody embarks on that. And we have done three centers in couple of years time, three cases in at our own center in last couple of years time, and we would like to discuss what were these three cases. This have been courtesy Asan Medical Center from Seoul, where they have been regularly doing a dual lobe liver transplant. So what are the types of dual lobe? Either you can select two left lobes, as you can see on this slide, or you can select a lateral segment and one left lobe. You can select two left lateral segments. You can select one right lobe and one left lobe. You can select one right lobe and one left lateral segment. You can select the right posterior sector and left lobe or a left lateral segment. And it goes on. You can keep on doing combinations, various combinations. And this is just the schematic of how two dual left lobes makes it difficult, because both the dual left lobes, in one lobe you have to invert the graft, and hence the anastomosis, which has to be done technically, is much more difficult and challenging. We will be discussing the left lobe, dual left lobe, in subsequent slides. So when we look at the experience of dual lobe living donor liver transplant being performed across the globe, there are very few centers which has been doing this, and the highest number which you can keep on seeing in this is number 17, 150, 226, and 346. This is actually from the same center, the Asan Medical Center in Korea, which has been doing maximum number of dual lobe liver transplant, and there are very other few centers which have done to a maximum of 6 in their own center. So the latest numbers which were published by Asan Medical Center in the year 2017, they had actually completed 400 dual lobe living donor liver transplantations. And we look at what was the distribution in their case study. They had used two left livers in a fair bit of patient, which is maximum of 70%, either the left lobe and left lateral section, or left lateral and left lobe, vice versa. So maximum number were 70%, which were two left lobes. They had selected a few patients with right and left lobe, and in even the right lobe, they had various modified right lobe and extended right lobe, or a right posterior sector, and number in that is pretty small. When we come to our own data at Sir Gangaram Hospital, the three case patient series which we wanted to mention is one patient who was 46-year-old. The etiology was cryptogenic liver disease with blood group A, with a BMI of 29, child C, and the GRWR with a single donor was coming up to 0.6. And when we went up to two donors, the G to 0.87. Second patient was aged 58-year-old with the case of NASH-related CLD, blood group of B, BMI of 35, with a child C criteria with a MELD of 21, and the GRWR with a single donor was 0.61. And if we selected a second donor, the GRWR went up to 0.83. The third was a female patient with hepatitis B virus and HCC. Again, here if we went with a single donor, though she was child B with an HCC, the single donor GRWR was 0.6 again. When we went up with two donors, then the GRWR went up to 0.85. Looking at the demographics of the donor, for the first patients, the two donor, what we selected was the right and the left lateral. The patient in which we had undergone a left lateral hepatectomy had some bit of steatosis. The LAI was +5, that is liver attenuation index, and we had performed a biopsy which showed less than 5% of steatosis. Second patient, we selected right and left. In the third patient, we selected two left lobes. So we actually, in these three cases, we performed almost the spectrum, wherein one it was right and the left lateral, second patient it was right and the left lobe, and the third patient had dual left lobe dual grafts. Looking at the operative procedures and the characteristics, the right lobe, the cold ischemia time in the patients were as mentioned. The minimum operative time in the dual lobes was 1140, and in second case it was 1065 in minutes, and in the third case it was 1050 minutes. This is again a schematic diagram borrowed from the Asan Medical Center, which shows how the anastomosis is done. Usually, as I said, that's the only center which has been doing maximum number of dual lobe transplants. But what they do is they implant the first lobe, and they followed by implantation of second lobe, followed by reperfusion. So they do a simultaneous reperfusion of both the grafts, whereas in our case series, we actually do a sequential reperfusion of both the lobes in dual lobe grafts. So this was our patient where we had done the right and the left lobe implantation. As you can see, the two lobes are being seen. This is the CT scan done post 6 months post transplantation, just to show the CT scan and the anatomy, how the patient has. That's a donor left hepatic artery graft from the graft, and that's a donor right hepatic artery. And here you can see the graft, right portal vein and the left portal vein in the graft. Now, when we are performing a dual left lobe transplant, which I was trying to mention in my previous slides, the one left lobe which you are implanting on the right side has to be reversed and flipped about 180 degrees. What happens is when you flip 180 degrees, the bile duct, which is anteriorly placed, goes posteriorly, and hence if you actually do the portal vein anastomosis and reperfusion as we normally do in a living donor transplantation, then in that case the access to the biliary anatomy or the biliary anastomosis will not be possible once the reperfusion is done. Hence in these cases you have to perform biliary anastomosis much earlier than you perform a portal vein anastomosis. We are trying to show you a video about 5 minutes which has got right and the left lobe implantation. So once in the OR, you try to look at the anatomy, you try to look at the biliary anatomy as well. There was two ducts on the right side, as you had noticed. This was the right lobe graft which was retrieved, and we are now starting with the implantation of the right lobe. So this is the right hepatic vein now being anastomosed to the an opening in the IVC, which is an enlarged opening of the previously right hepatic of the recipient. So now we just right hepatic vein is complete. To notice is that we have maintained the right and the left, both the portal veins of the recipient, so that we can utilize both the veins. So now what we are doing is, hello?
You are audible, sir.
Yeah, so I think, but the video for some reason has stopped. So we are anastomosing the right portal vein to the right recipient portal vein to the donor right portal vein. I guess my presentation seems to have just stopped completely. Sorry for the technical glitch. This was the second video which I wanted to show also on a dual left lobe liver transplantation. If we are not able to show the video, what I'll do is I'll continue with my presentation, and then I do have videos separately, and we'll try and see if we can get the videos back up and about running, because the whole idea of showing the video was the technical implications in doing a dual left lobe is much more, and how you would invert a dual left lobe graft. So we will continue with the presentation so that there is no glitch here, and I'll show at the end of the presentation again, show you the videos. So this is just the CT scan of the patient who had undergone a dual left lobe. So that was the left lobe of the first donor, which was complete 180 degrees flipped and put on the right side, and this was the left lobe which was regularly implanted. You will understand when I show you the video in my once I finish this slide presentation. Yeah, so post-operatively, all the patients had performed fairly good with a mean ICU stay of about 5 days. The complications which we had seen in our recipients, one had a major resection, one patient required, there was a collection, small amount of bile leak, and it settled down with PCD. One recipient required a seconding suturing of the wound, and the patient which had got bile leak at 1 year developed a stricture for which a biliary stenting was done. There was no major donor morbidity, no donor mortality in the 6 donors, and the mean follow-up is much more now, and all these patients were doing well. So this was the running flow chart where we adopted this from the Asan Medical Center, that how will you analyze a liver transplant candidate if there is no DDLT or a deceased donor available, which is again the case at our own institute, and which is seen much more often in our own country. Most of these patients would go for a living donor transplant. If you calculate the GRWR and you look at the future remnant liver volume, if the future remnant liver volume is more than 35%, you can actually go ahead and look at the GRWR. If GRWR is also more than 0.8, then a single donor is definitely acceptable. You don't want to subject a second donor to the risk as well. But in cases where the FLR is much more, it's lesser than 30%. Asan Medical Centers prefer 35%, but we go down up to 30% remnant. And in if you have a future liver remnant volume less than 30%, you go for a second eligible donor, and then go ahead for a dual graft. Depending on what the graft volume is, you can select either right lobe with a left lateral lobe, or with left lobe, or you can select two left lobes. If the GRWR is less, you can actually try and see if you can perform a portal inflow modulation and still try and perform a single graft if it is possible. In cases where you're not able to do that, do it, and then obviously you need to go ahead and perform a living donor liver transplantation. So I'll just try and see if I can get the videos on. Sorry, I'll continue sharing the screen. I apologize. So here we had already reached the stage where the portal vein, right portal vein is anastomosed, and if you can see, we are trying to flush out. I thought I can do that again. Okay, sorry. Are you able to see? No.
Stop sharing and reshare, Namesh.
Okay, stop sharing and reshare. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Are we able to see that now again?
Yeah.
Great. So the right lobe, what I wanted to point out is Asan Medical Center does simultaneous reperfusion, but we have now done reperfusion of the first graft, that is the right lobe. We check for that's the arterial wave which is coming up by intraoperative ultrasound or Doppler. Once we confirm that the arterial and the portal waveform is fairly good, then the other lobe is now removed. That's a plasty being done between MHV and the LHV. The left lobe was then retrieved from the second donor. So that what we are showing is the hepatic artery, the portal vein of the left graft, which we are saying that's a bile duct. And here, without clamping the whole cava, what we had utilized is the MHV LHV cuff of the recipient and done the anastomosis of the MHV LHV, which was reconstructed on the bench, which you just saw of the left lobe graft. So the implantation of the left lobe is done as you would do regularly on the left side. The only difference here is it was a sequential reperfusion and we did not have to clamp the inferior vena cava. The reperfusion is being done now. I've increased the speed just to save time because I think we lost some bit of time. And once that is done, arterial anastomosis is completed. Once we finish, obviously even at the left lobe, we try and check with the Doppler that the flows are good. And once that is done, we just trying to show both the lobes there. That's a right lobe, and we are trying to show the anatomy as well. Now again, that's the right portal vein, the right hepatic artery. That's the left portal vein being shown. And the left hepatic arterial anastomosis is being shown now. Once that is completed in the right lobe and left lobe, you can perform the biliary anastomosis afterwards. So once we do the reperfusion of both the lobes, we then start with our biliary anastomosis of both these cases, of both the lobes. Again, the left lobe, would you be interested in seeing the left lobe, or I think if we don't have time, we go ahead and finish the talk? Dr. Dharmesh,
yeah, we should go ahead. We should go ahead with the video. I think that is quite fascinating.
Okay, thank you so much. Just let me know if you are able to see the video. Are you able to see it, or should I stop and reshare it?
Yeah, you have to reshare it.
Okay, I will show that again. So this is the, is it visible now?
Yes, that's visible. Yeah.
Okay, so this was just the donor side where the transaction was done. That was a single duct on each side, right and the left. The reason why we had to select the left lobe is because the FLR in the donor was much less if you had selected the right lobe. We are now looping only the left lobe here. So this was the case where the FLR was less, and hence it was indicated that we could not have selected either of the two donors. There were two donors which the patient came up with, but we could not select either of the donors because of the less remnant, future remnant liver volume. The left lobe is now being retrieved. And hence we had to select the two left lobes. Now in this case, once the left lobe is retrieved, how will you flip it? You need to flip it. So we used when you flip it, what happens is the left hepatic vein, the direction of the left and the middle hepatic vein is actually from lateral to medial going into the cava. And when you flip it, it inverses or reverses. Now in that case, that will be an angulation. You will not be able to put in the similar form. Hence, to avoid the angulation, we had to extend that and create a new sort of a RHV, if you call it, to make an anastomosis. So the PTFE graft was anastomosed with the MHV and the LHV of the first left lobe graft, and then we had done the implantation. So this is the extension PTFE which was used of the left lobe, which is now being the new right lobe or the neo right lobe. And then the anastomosis is done as you would do for the right hepatic vein. Here, the important point is to avoid any angulation, because if there is any outflow obstruction, obviously you will end up in trouble later on. And if you remember what I had said in my previous slide, the bile duct becomes posterior. Hence, if you can see, we have actually started doing the biliary anastomosis. That is the first anastomosis to be done if the left lobe is flipped. And that the reason you need to do it fast, because the graft is getting the warm ischemia time starts immediately as soon as you have removed the graft. And hence you need to perform the anastomosis ASAP. The biliary anastomosis is performed earlier. If you can now notice it, the biliary anastomosis has gone posterior to the portal vein. We have now completed the biliary anastomosis and started with the portal vein anastomosis. And what we are doing is perfusing the lobe through the left recipient left portal vein, which we had kept long enough. And now we have opened the inferior vena cava and reperfused the left lobe, which is the neo right lobe. So here, if you can see that perfusion is already being done. We have completed the anastomosis. And once we do that, we complete the arterial anastomosis as well, because we prefer doing a sequential transplant. So we did not want to leave the graft without an arterial inflow. That's the portal vein, if you can appreciate that on the Doppler. And that's the arterial flow waveform on the Doppler of the neo right lobe, or the left lobe which was flipped and put on the right side. Once that is done, we remove the left lobe from the second donor. Again, the retrieval of the donor hepatectomy, the steps remains the same of any other donor which you would perform. The advantage of doing two dual left lobe is that the risk to the donor in a left lobe hepatectomy is much less compared to a right lobe hepatectomy. So the donor risk is less. The donor risk in the right lobe hepatectomy is 0.5%, and the risk if you do a left donor hepatectomy is 0.2%. So thereby reducing the risk to the donor as well, and trying to avoid any major risk to the recipient. So here now the left lobe is being implanted as you would do it in any other case, where an MHV and LHV opening of the donor is anastomosed to the MHV and LHV opening of the recipient. I'll just try to skip this a little bit faster so that they can show us both the lobes. The second arterial waveform, the second left lobe arterial waveform is again confirmed on the Doppler. So here you can see both, and once that is done, what we did is a rule loop for the second biliary anastomosis. The right duct, if you had seen, the right hepatic duct, we had actually done the duct to duct anastomosis, and for the left lobe on the left side, we had done a rule loop. So I think with that, I will end my video. It's just showing, sorry, I'm just trying to show both the anatomy of both the lobes, and that was the anastomosis done of the hepaticojejunostomy. So thank you so much, and I'll be happy to take any questions. Dr. Dharmesh Kapoor sir.